Yes, Casanovians. Bom dia. I'm just strutting through the streets of Lisbon, and I wanted to hit you boys with this important epiphanova, which hopefully is going to help you make cold approach a million times easier, because this is a mindset that once I adopted, it did actually make cold approach a million times easier. And it's understanding that seduction is sales. Alright, seduction is sales. If you can internalize what I'm about to tell you through this live stream, you will separate yourself from 99% of guys who attempt cold approach. Because when I first started 4 years ago, I had a very romanticized view of relationships. I was still in that, let's call it the blue-pilled beta stage, where I believed in the one, I believed in the happily ever after. I didn't realize how cutthroat intersexual dynamics actually were. So I wasn't playing the game from a rational perspective. I wasn't viewing the world how it was. I was trying to see it how I wanted it to be. But seduction is sales, and over the course of these 4 years, I've studied the psychology of sales and understanding why people buy, understanding the psychology of money, people's buying temperature, objection handling. Seduction is sales, and that's why, especially to young guys out there, I think cold approach is one of the greatest investments of your time right now, because if you learn cold approach, you learn how to sell, right? You learn influence, you learn persuasion. Socrates said that the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms, and I define game as learning how to get what we want. I think it's one of the highest leverage skills that a young man can learn is cold approach, is sales. Yeah, because if you know how to sell, you'll never be without money. I think that's one of the greatest skills that I've got during my time in the trenches. And actually, I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize that I was learning this multitude of skills, like learning how to sell, learning how to persuade, learning how to get what I want, learning how to influence people. And it's not done in some tyrannical way. It's a rising tide lifts all the boats. Yeah, like both people should leave that deal feeling delighted beyond belief. That's what capitalism should be. Both people, whether it's I sell somebody something or I begin a relationship with a girl by approaching her in person during the day, we both should leave that transaction feeling delighted. And one of the greatest lessons I learned about getting what you want, learning about influence, is giving people an offer so good that they would feel stupid saying no. Okay? Give people an offer so good that they would feel stupid saying no. So I learned this from Alex Hormozy. It's an amazing book. It's called $100 Million Offers. I don't have an affiliate link. I'm not going to get 10p from a download. I mean, there's no link there anyway. But give people an offer so good they would feel stupid saying no. So understand that when we are going out there and we are cold approaching, whether people want to admit it or not, we're selling ourselves, right? It's very much a 5-minute sales pitch. And that's why I love I love the notion of cold approach so much, because I've often described day game as the ultimate equalizer. So on the streets, everyone is very much starting off at ground zero. It's like when I approach that girl, she doesn't know who I am, right? It's not like I've got status behind me. It's not like I've got an entourage of gob-smackingly gorgeous girls like I could have if it was like a night game scenario. It's very difficult to convey pre-selection on the streets. You can convey a sense of what's called virtual selection. So if you become the most fuckable version of yourself, you carry yourself like a king, you walk and talk like somebody who actually believes he's the absolute shit, then this notion of virtual selection comes into play, where the girls will start thinking, oh, this guy has obviously got confidence, the way that he's approached me, he's probably done this in the past and got good results from it. So that's like virtual selection. It's like the way you approach that girl, it implies that you have got other options. And this all feeds into the seductive self, right? Your ability to sell. I do think that irrational confidence and just irrational confidence, irrational belief, like delusional optimism in your own product, that's really how you sell something. Yeah, if you don't actually have any faith in your product, then no one's gonna buy it, right? So just understanding that seduction is sales. And when you're going out there to approach girls, like the thing that they're thinking is, why should I select this guy? Like, why you? Yeah, why, like, out of all of the options that she's currently got, why should she decide to pursue something romantic with you? And this is why I try and bang into your brains the importance of becoming the most fuckable version of you, right? Yes, looks matter. Of course looks matter. Like, I think it's human nature to be attracted to physical beauty, but the way you start is not the way that you finish. I always say, I'm my own best case study when it comes to this stuff, right? The amount of guys who just want to complain online, like, oh, I'm ugly, oh, I've got shit social skills, oh, I've been an introvert all of my life. It's like, dude, there's no excuses for any of this nonsense. Like, I started off in the absolute mud, right? Like, I had severe social anxiety. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any romantic interest. I looked like a turnip. I dressed like a moron. I had no money. I had no value. And guess what? I've made it work for myself. So I'm not saying this to try and brag. I'm trying to say it to give you optimism, to understand that I want you to just get out of your own way more, right? Because the way you start is not the way that you finish, but no one else is coming to save you, and this works as long as you do. So yeah, just understand this notion. Seduction is sales, and hopefully this helps to pop the bubble of fantasy. Yeah, all of this, like, oh, the one, the happily ever after fairy tale. It's no, the world's motivated by self-interest. Yeah, we all want the best deal for ourselves. So when you're approaching girls, the idea is to present yourself as the best option that she can select from. So becoming the most fuckable version of you. Yeah, if you want to download my free course, I give you the entire blueprint, like how I became the most fuckable version of myself. And this is why I also stress the importance of using your Instagram as a landing page. So I've got two Instagrams. I've got like one business one and one personal one, but my personal one is Kristian Magician. So that's the landing page that I use when I'm meeting girls during the day. And the great thing about using Instagram in order to sell the product of you is it does a lot of the work on your behalf, right? If you've already created a portfolio which can project pre-selection, so you just go over to my landing page at Kristian Magician. I'll also link a video in the description later on, because I've got an entire free video which shows you step by step how I created a compelling Instagram profile. And I do think this is important in the modern game that we're playing. So you meet a girl, let's just play out this scenario. I go over to a girl during the day, I'm looking and feeling like the most fuckable version of myself. So now I've got faith behind my product. I'm able to experience success in advance. I'm looking and feeling as good as possible. We have a 5-minute conversation where I'm giving her a compelling reason to say yes. All right, this is like, I'm Christian, I have this international lifestyle, this is what I do for a living. Maybe just like throwing some humor in there so she can get a taste of my personality. And also don't forget, one of the greatest things working in our favor is the fact that we've actually got the balls to go over and take action, right? So don't underestimate the skill itself. Like, I've got a lot of more infield conversations from Lisbon on the horizon for you boys. And something that I actually want you to pay attention to is there's actually nothing that special about the conversations that I have. I used to place massive amounts of emphasis on overall conversation skills. And yeah, they are important, but I realized that I used to be too much of an entertainer. I used to want my conversation skills to be top 1%. It was coming from a place of fear. It was coming from a place of, please like me, please validate how great my conversational ability is. Oh, I was a magician, so like, you know, just like love me, love me, love me. But now it's like, I actually get more results by doing less. Like, if you want an actual framework for cold approach, it's stupidly straightforward. Go over with a hard-hitting compliment. I think that's the most important aspect. For me, I just want to be blowing that girl away within the first 3 seconds, because what I found to be true is as soon as I go over to somebody, they make a decision instantly. Like, you probably heard the, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. It's bullshit. We all do it, right? Even more so now because our attention spans are less than a fucking goldfish. So within those first 3 seconds, that girl is basically deciding if she wants to invest into your product. So the open is so important. So hard-hitting compliments. So hi, excuse me, smile on your face, lock in that eye contact, make sure she stops, make sure she's absolutely looking at you. I just wanted to say, you look amazing, you look beautiful, you look so good today. And it's like, what are you doing today? Then she'll tell you. And it's just about having a normal conversation. Oh, like, oh, you're gonna go shopping, that's cool. I've just arrived in this city. What do you do for a job? Like, it doesn't need to be anything fancy, because most of the groundwork has been done within those first few seconds. And then what I found to be true is it's just about training yourself to stay in that conversation for long enough so you actually build some investment, i.e. you actually give her a reason to want to see you again, so you can talk about the potential date that the two of you are going to go on, because people are less likely to bail on plans they've already committed to. So, oh, I want to go check out this wine bar, you should come along with me. Do you like red or white? Red, great, let's lock that in, let's go next Thursday. And the texting is just a vehicle to get her out on that date. But yeah, I just want to try and get across in this live stream that cold approach doesn't need to be difficult. It's just going over, saying something, and then making sure you actually close. You probably heard of that ABC rule, always be closing. Like, that's okay to a degree. I don't think you have to close every single conversation. I think it's a little bit stupid. But just getting yourself into that habit, it's like, all this really comes down to, very much like if you're cold calling. So I actually used to cold call people when I was a magician. So I remember I used to go around to my aunt's house, because she was like the only friend that I had. And I was about 14 or 15 years old. And I was like, all right, I want to start getting more gigs for magic. And she was like, well, how are you going to do that? And I was like, well, I could call them, because I was too scared of going into these places in person. So anyway, I'd like cold call about 10 different bars or restaurants each day when I was at her house. And it was one of the most nerve-wracking things, like a 14-year-old. Like, hi, excuse me, my name's Kristian. I wondered if you'd like to have a magician. I didn't know anything about sales back then. I didn't know how to create an offer. I didn't know how to productize myself. I didn't know how to give people a compelling reason to say yes. So I was just shooting in the dark. But I don't know, I think that's how you learn this stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's just giving yourself permission to suck at the start. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, the amount of guys who ask me questions at the moment, it's like, why are you asking this question? You've not even done an approach yet. It's like, Kristian, how do I get consistent dates? I've not done an approach yet, but I just want to make sure that I've got all the information. It's like, forget about all this bullshit. Like, it's like, you're asking how to close deals when you can't even pick up the phone yet. So your first step should just be getting outside. Yeah, just force yourself to, pigeon. Just force yourself to get outside. That can be your first step, right? Get outside, breathe, take in the air around you, then start to imagine yourself actually approaching people. That's how we do it. It's just crescendoing. It's just like if you want to become proficient in any skill set, you know, like Rome wasn't built in a day. So, but just understand this notion though. Right? It's like, seduction is sales. Nobody gives a fuck about you unless you give them a compelling reason to give a fuck about you, right? And that's why I've found why a lot of the guys who I coach, so my traditional client is a high-achieving, busy city worker, I found that's why, on a deep emotional level, he has a lot of resistance to cold approach. It's because in his world, he's got status, right? In his world, he's a somebody. But as soon as you take him out of the office, he's a nobody. He's got no status on the streets because the streets don't give a fuck about who he is. And I think that's actually the beauty of cold approach. It is the ultimate equalizer. Whoever you've been in the past, whoever you think you are, whatever your identity is, it's like it all goes out the window. Like, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you perceive it. It's like, I've always found cold approach it's the ultimate personal renaissance exercise, because every time that I come out here, it's a new opportunity to recreate myself, right? It's like belief follows action. So every time, I remember doing it, like when I was first learning this skill set in Leeds, back when I was living in that grotty apartment, and it was just me going out there. I remember waking up in the morning and saying, oh, fuck, I need to do this thing again. I really don't want to do it, but I got it done. I did it, right? It's like, I just separated feelings from actions, and I just got the job done. But it was like, when I was going out there, there was just so much stuff that I didn't know, but I understood that, like, I wasn't going to learn it by just staying in my own thoughts, in the mental prison that I'd concocted. It's like, right, get out there, focus on what needs to be done. But yeah, I think just that notion that it's just that opportunity to recreate ourselves when we are going out there. Like who I was 4 years ago and who I am today, it's very much like the character that I have become. It's been a product of putting myself through the social fire, forging that identity through the fires of adversity. And like, this is why I try and get a lot of guys away from focusing on the wrong things. It's like, oh, I'm on self-improvement, I'm meditating, I'm gratitude journaling, I'm doing red light therapy. And it's like, yeah, fine, do that stuff, but this is where it's at. Like, if you truly want to elevate, if you truly want to become the most fuckable version of you, be swimming in high quality romantic options and operate from a place of self-adoration rather than self-deprecation, just do this. You know what I mean? Just come outside, set the intention to do one direct call approach, or maybe if you've got skin in the game, set the intention to do 5 direct call approaches. But it's just reps. That's all it is. It's reps, reps, reps. It's like, if you want to become great at cold calling or cold outreach or email marketing, it's like you just need to do more of that thing. Right? There is no secret sauce in that regard. It's just do a lot of it, outwork your self-doubt, and make it unreasonable for you not to succeed. So, yeah, seduction is sales. It really is. So, I think the final thing that I'll say is, when you are coming out here to cold approach, understanding that you're investing into such a high leverage skill set, right? You are learning the power of influence. You're learning how to handle objections. You're learning how to create bulletproof investment. You're learning about people's buying temperature, because it could be a case of same girl, different day, different story. So learning not to take too much personally. Yeah, I think that's another obstacle guys face. It's doing a lot of cold approach and getting a lot of quote-unquote rejections. It can really start to intensify a man's perceived lack of self-worth. But it's like, if you actually understand that game is a lottery, right? If you don't play, you won't win. It's a numbers game when you come out here. Like, you don't know which girls are going to be available. You don't know which girls are single. You don't know which girls are whatever. It's like, all you know is continue to catapult yourself off of the carousel of comfort. Continue to put yourself in there, because like, on a really practical level, 100 direct call approaches needs to be the minimum for every man who watches these streams. 100 direct call approaches. Get them done as soon as possible. Like, but the important thing to understand is don't expect anything from them. Like, I've had comments recently from guys who are like, oh, Kristian, like, can you give me an estimation of like what percentage of success I should expect to have? No, you don't understand. And that's why you're asking these questions, because you don't know what you don't know. You would understand once you've done 100 direct call approaches, the folly of that question. There is no guaranteed success. You have to reject your need for guarantee, right? Like 100 direct call approaches, treat them purely as batting practice. Just keep picking up that phone. Continue to have irrational faith and delusional optimism in your own product, and just make sure. I think the final thing, like when it comes to sales, for me, it's always about putting the product first, right? The product needs to be fucking amazing. This is more once you've got those first 100 direct call approaches. Get those done. Like, just, it doesn't matter. Just get them done, just to start to develop proficiency. But once you have done those 100 direct call approaches, it's time to focus on making the product outstanding. Like, making you as compelling an offer as possible. So when you are going over to those women, they're just into you within those first few seconds. Like, this is the exact process that I've gone through. Again, just download the free courses. I'll link them below once I get back. They give you everything that you need. I can't give you any more information. So yeah, seduction is sales. Once you understand that, I think it will unlock a different dimension for you, because you'll be like, right, okay, it's time to play the game from a rational perspective. I understand that people are motivated by self-interest. She's only going to go for me if she's got a compelling reason to do so, if I actually am her best option, right? So that's what I've done, right? Over these 4 years, it's about maxing out my conversation skills, becoming the most fuckable version of me, building the lifestyle which I now live. And just taking a lot of radical action. Like, that's really all it comes down to. The reason why you've got a lot of resistance or a lot of self-doubt or a lot of anxiety at the moment is because you're overthinking rather than overacting, right? Like, if you, just as an example, the first day here in Lisbon, I did about 22 direct call approaches. By the end of the day, I felt exhausted with accomplishment. I was almost unable to feel any anxiety or any self-deprecating thoughts because I'd exhausted my system. I'd flooded my system with so much action that, I don't know, I think there's something that happens hormonally. Like, when you've taken so much action, when you've had so much face time with the feminine, when you've just put yourself through it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, just to finish off with a quote by Charles Bukowski, what matters most is how well you walk through the fire. Seduction very much is sales. Become the most fuckable version of you, and the rest of the world will follow. Mwah.